everyone, I'm Georgia and this is The Sound of Georgia. Today's video is going to be very different. Today I'm going to be talking about Star Wars. I'm sorry there wasn't a video last week. It was just taking me forever to edit, and as I was doing that I realised it really wasn't a very good video. But we're back this week. So episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, hits cinemas tomorrow down in Australia, or at least it hits my local cinema. Tomorrow anyway. I'm not sure if it's coming out tomorrow everywhere else, but I thought it was close enough, so I'm going to talk about it. Now, it may seem really weird, but I love Star Wars. I think it's awesome. My brother and I had so many of the action figures and we played with them so much. There was one time my school was having a Star Wars themed dinner, or a science fiction themed dinner. I can't remember exactly what it was. I went to a boarding school, so there were a lot of those sort of things. And so I went that night dressed up as Princess Leia. When Force Awakens came out, my parents and my brother and I got all dressed up to go and see it at midnight. At a cinema like an hour and a half away. We were dedicated. And this year for Star Wars Day, I sat down and did nothing else but watch the movies for 10 hours. It was wonderful. So there's kind of going to be a ranking component to this video. But I'm just going to start out with some unpopular opinions I have. Unpopular opinion number 1. The Empire Strikes Back is my least favourite movie in the original trilogy. Now, before you scream at me in the comments, I know exactly why it's my least favourite. As much as I love Star Wars, when I was a kid I was actually kind of scared of some of the movies. So the only film I would really watch was the original. Episode 4, A New Hope, whatever you want to call it. It was a long time before I actually sat down and seriously watched Empire. And by the time that happened, I knew the ending. I've probably watched Empire straight through less than 5 times. I watched it on May the 4th this year, but the time before that was back in 2015 when I was marathoning them all before I went and saw Force Awakens. And I can't remember the time before that. So I haven't seen it nearly as much as I've seen the other ones. And by the time I sat down to seriously watch it for the first time, I'd been spoiled. If you're watching this video, come on, you already know the ending, but I'm going to be very nice and not spoil it for you. Well, I'm gonna leave a spoiler warning. But I knew Vader was Luke's father. I knew Han wasn't stuck in carbonite permanently. And those are kind of the 2 biggest questions you have at the end of Empire, or at least they would be the ones I would consider the biggest questions. So knowing the answers to those questions going in, there was absolutely no suspense for me. And I can't actually separate that from watching the movie now. It just feels very stagnant to me the whole way through. Not that I don't like it, but when your emotions are pretty much the same throughout the entire thing, it's just not as interesting. For me, The Empire Strikes Back is my least favourite in the original trilogy, but I know why that is, and I know exactly why everybody likes it so much and why it is considered the best. Unpopular opinion number 2. And this one's going to be very quick. I enjoyed Solo. I know it's, the least successful Star Wars movie ever, and that a lot of people prefer Rogue One over it, but I'm the opposite. I thought it was so much better than Rogue One. I don't know what the exact consensus is for Rogue One, but for me it's kind of like Empire. No investment whatsoever because everybody you meet there, you never meet again. So, you know they're all dead. Also, CGI Tarkin and Leia are just scary. Though, yes. But I thought Solo was really cool. Does it clash a bit from what we know about Han from the other movies? Yes, a little, but it's Disney. Disney wants your money, and it works well enough. Unpopular opinion number 3. I actually like the George Lucas edits. Some of them. Not all of them. Like this one is absolutely stupid. And did we really need to edit an edited version of Jabba? Probably not. I like the first edit of him better. Also, didn't Yoda get re-edited in the prequels? Yeah, I know. I'm saying I like the edits and now I'm just bashing them. But as much as I don't like those ones, they don't make me furious. But there is one edit that I absolutely love. And that is this one at the end of Return of the Jedi. I absolutely love that we get to see Hayden Christensen as Annie in that final scene. Because, I'm sorry, but who the heck is that? Yes, I know, it's meant to be Anakin. And yeah, I guess what they were going for is that's what his soul looks like now that he's turned good again, or it's what he would have looked like if he'd never gone bad in the first place. But no. Darth Vader turns back into Anakin before he dies. So when Anakin dies, this is what he looks like. As far as I'm concerned, it needed to be the guy under the mask exactly as we saw him under the mask, or it needed to be Anakin before he turned into Vader at the very beginning, aka Hayden Christensen. So, I absolutely love that edit. But I also kind of believe that Annie might have been redeemable had he not been burned to a crisp on Mustafar. That left him totally dependent on the Emperor. I think if he could have walked away from that scene, he might not have gone completely over to the dark side. But that's just me. So yes, some of the edits are unnecessary and ridiculous, but I am far from the first person to say that. But they also don't annoy me, and I really, really, really love that one at the end of Return of the Jedi. Unpopular opinion number 4. The Phantom Menace is better than Attack of the Clones. To a point, and I'll get to that in a minute. It is so boring. Like, I don't like Empire Strikes Back nearly as much as everybody else, but I know that's me personally, and there are personal reasons why I think it's boring and stagnant. There's not really any personal reasons like that with Attack of the Clones. It just is boring. Not to mention incredibly awkward. And yes, you can say Phantom Menace is technically worse, and yes, it is. But things happen in that one. Things happen in the Phantom Menace in the way they don't in Attack of the Clones. So Attack of the Clones is a snooze fest. Unless you're watching the movies in the machete order. If you haven't heard of the machete order, I'll link the blog post of the guy who came up with it down below. But here's the basics. You watch the movies, episode 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. And that's exactly what I did on May the 4th this year. Now, personally, I didn't get the full effect of this until I got to Return of the Jedi, but when you get there, oh my god. Watching Return of the Jedi right after watching Revenge of the Sith makes the film so much more powerful. That bit at the very end with Vader and the Emperor and Luke is so different. Like, the only way I can describe it is that I could see the turmoil on Vader's face, even though you can't actually see Vader's face at all. So the machete order obviously doesn't include Phantom Menace, but you actually really don't need it. Boring as it is, Attack of the Clones actually has relevance to the rest of the story in a way that Phantom Menace does not. And when you watch the machete order, Attack of the Clones isn't nearly as boring. Which is good, because when you put all that into consideration, along with the fact that stuff actually happens in the Phantom Menace, it makes the prequel trilogy not terrible. Well, terrible, but you know what I mean. So, with all that said, I'm going to rank them and tell you what my favourite to my least favourite is. So my favourite would have to be the original, Episode 4, A New Hope. Then in the second spot is Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Coming in at number 3 is actually Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Then for number 4, Empire Strikes Back. Number 5, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And in number 6, as you probably expected, given that I've just talked about it, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Now that list purposefully did not include Episode 7 and 8, because I'm honestly not sure where I'd put them in regards to all of that. Especially considering Last Jedi is so polarizing. I thought it was just okay. I was kind of in the middle. I didn't hate it, but I certainly didn't love it. But I also remember hearing somewhere, I think it was on a YouTube video or whatever, that The Last Jedi might not end up being as bad as people think it is once episode 9 comes out. And yes, I could definitely see that being the case. Once everybody's seen Rise of Skywalker, I reckon Last Jedi could be seen in a very different light. But for me, right now, I'm pretty much on the fence about it. As has been indicated, the second film in both the prequel and the original trilogy is my least favourite. So, who knows? As for Force Awakens, I'm still not sure where I'd put it in the ranking, but it's awesome. Loved it. And like those two, I'm not sure where I'd put Rogue One or Solo in the ranking. If I had to guess, right at this moment, I would probably put Solo somewhere in the middle, between where I put episode 3 and where I put episode 5. And Rogue One would be down the bottom between sort of Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. But I'm really not sure. And making a Star Wars video right now, I can't not talk about one more thing. No, I haven't seen The Mandalorian. I don't have Disney Plus. I doubt I will get it. And so I doubt I will ever see Mandalorian. But yes, Baby Yoda is adorable. And that's everything I've got for today, guys. I know this was very different, but I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what's your favourite Star Wars movie. And of course, are you excited for Rise of Skywalker? Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my video next week. So long, farewell!